What's going on, folks? Hope you're having a wonderful night or day. Today I wanted to talk about the progression system for Chrono Odyssey. If you're not familiar with this game, it's an upcoming MMORPG that's having a closed beta test in June, and they recently had their first developer blog which contained a chunk of information about how the progression system was going to work. The character progression system in Chrono Odyssey takes a different approach than traditional MMOs tend to. The level cap for the time being is 40, and character experience can be gained through gathering, combat, open world activities, and crafting. Players can choose their own playstyle and progress in a way that suits them. In this video, the first thing we see as the character approaches one of the crafting benches, or in this case, processing, is that a menu opens and at the top we can see it's separated by sections. Although this doesn't appear to have all of them because as we can see earlier in the clip, there's other benches that we can access. At the top of this benches menu, we have the tool section, the resource section, which appears to have options like crafting processed oil, which can be used mainly for crafting cloaks, the mining section that features ingots and processed stone. Also on the ingot we can see that it states that it's mainly used for crafting heavy equipment or creating materials for other equipment. There's also an extra luck crafting bonus, so we know for certain there's a little bit of RNG involved in the crafting. And there might be a similar bonus when it comes to the gathering professions. In the tool crafting, we can see that sickles, pickaxes, logging axes, butchery knives, fishing poles, and campfires are craftable. One of the first things I noticed is that there's also a section for jewel sockets, which makes me think that there will be socketable jewels that have a profession bonus on them. Just how we see later on in the footage that there are gems that can be socketed onto the gear that give bonuses to the class skills. Shortly after this, while they're in the mining section, they also start crafting an ingot, which brings up a menu where we can see a couple of interesting things. Firstly, that of course that there's a crafting skill requirement to process these. Looks like it's processing level 1, which is interesting for what we can see as a tier 5 resource. There's a gold requirement, which I did not expect to see, and both before and after the crafting goes through, we can see that there's swordsman experience gained, which is the class this person is using. Also noticed in the top right that there's a little tooltip for crafting crescent plate armor, and I noticed that it actually requires materials from tier 4. So that tells me that we're likely going to need resources from the previous tiers, even as we push past them. When we get to the next section that features armor crafting, we can again see a couple of interesting things. The jewel socket imbuing section is back, but on top of that, we can see that not only prefixes, but general attributes can roll on gear as well. The only other place I've been able to find a lot of information about the crafting system and progression system is on a Reddit post by Mix Comfortable. The first detail is something we can see in this screenshot, which is that gear has an equipment score, alongside a required level, which is likely based around the tier that it is. Tier 5 appears to be the max from the information I've seen so far, especially since level 40 is the max, at least in the closed beta. We can also see that there's not only base materials, but optional materials, which likely plays a part in the equipment score and other aspects. When the piece is crafted, we can see two attributes that we're able to roll: Wisdom and Dexterity, alongside the prefixes like Relentless, which increases the damage over time attack stat while wearing this piece, followed by Destroyer and Guardian, which apply mainly to PvP. I also noticed on the right side that this armor of course is classified as heavy, which makes me think that there could be an armor weight system. If there is, I can imagine mixing and matching depending on what kind of role you're trying to play. DPS wearing a few pieces of light and medium with the heavy chest piece, for example. The next portion talks about crafting and enhancement, and it's talked about how the materials for enhancement can be gained through combat, exploration, or through non-combat means like gathering. In this menu, we can see that gear has upgrade limits, so you can only upgrade this piece up to 10 times from what we can see here. And it has an impact on boosting the equipment score. Also, we can see a gem inside one of these equipment pieces that seems to have that empty jewel slot we were talking about. And then when we get to the tier 5 piece, we can see that this piece can be upgraded 15 times maximum, which is probably the max in general. And the gem in question seems to boost one of your class's skills. In this case, it also takes gold and a fragment of eternity to upgrade this piece of gear. And for this piece, it'll upgrade the attribute as well. They also state right after this that they've reduced the risk of enhancement, but as I've said many times throughout the years, my biggest problem with enhancement systems in MMOs made in Korea is when they incorporate a system that produces a chance for your gear to be destroyed when the enhancement fails. I'm really hoping we won't see anything like that in this game, or of course anything enhancement related in the cash shop, but I think we'll have to discover that for ourselves when we hopefully all jump into the closed beta. They also stress that even those who prefer a non-combat route can still reach max level purely through crafting and gathering. And this is something I really like because not many MMOs take this approach. Even though it's something that can be exploited in Guild Wars 2's case, it was one of my favorite parts about leveling alts. So far, that's all the information I could find about the progression system in this developer blog, but if you guys happen to come across any more or know any more, please be sure to leave it in the comments below. I'm pretty green, brand new to this game, so I'll need to do a lot of research to get further associated with it, but thanks so much for watching, folks. Have a good one.
John.